The kingdom of my divine will in the midst of creatures. Book of Heaven, Volume 35, Part 8. December 8th, 1937. On the conception of the Queen. Her race of love. Wherever her Creator was, she was there to love him. How she remained conceived in each created thing, and was constituted Queen of the heavens, of the sun, and of everything. Today, while swimming in the divine volition, my poor mind found, in act, the conception of the Queen of Heaven. Oh, marvels! The surprises are indescribable. And I was thinking to myself, what else can be said about the Immaculate Conception after he spoke so much about it? And my lovable Jesus, surprising me, all festive, as if he wanted to celebrate the conception of the celestial Queen, told me, "My blessed daughter, oh, how many more things I have to say on the conception of this celestial creature. It was a life that we were creating, not a work. And there is a great difference between a work and a life. Furthermore, it was a life, both divine and human, in which there had to be highest accord of sanctity, of love, and of power, such that one life had to be able to match the other. The prodigies we made in creating this life were such that we had to perform the greatest prodigy and a chain of miracles, so that this life might contain the goods that we deposited in her. This holy creature, conceived without original sin, felt the life of her Creator, his operating will, which did nothing but make new seas of love arise. And oh, how much she loved us! She could feel us inside and outside of herself. And oh, how she would run in order to be present everywhere and in every place, wherever the life of her Creator was. It would have been the hardest and most cruel martyrdom for her had she not been able to be present everywhere in order to love us. Our will gave her wings, and our life, while remaining in her, made itself found everywhere, to make itself loved, and to enjoy she whom it loved so much, and by whom it was so loved in return. Now listen to another surprise. As soon as she was conceived, so did she begin her race, and we loved her with infinite love. Not loving her would have been the greatest martyrdom for us. So, as she ran, in order to search outside of herself for our life which she possessed inside, because a good is never complete if it is not possessed both inside and outside. Hence, as she would run, so would she remain conceived in the heavens and in the celestial spheres, and the stars would form a crown around her, singing hymns and praises to her as their queen. And she acquired the rights of queen over all the celestial spheres. Our immensity awaited her in the sun, and she would run and be conceived in the sun, which, becoming diadem for her adorable head, invested her with light, and praised her as Queen of Light, Our immensity and power awaited her in the wind, in the air, in the sea, and she would run and run without ever stopping her race, and remained conceived in the wind, in the air, and in the sea, acquiring the rights of queen over all. So the sovereign lady makes her power, her love, and her maternity flow in the heavens, in the sun, in the wind, in the sea, and even in the air that all breathe. Therefore everywhere, in every place and within all, she was conceived. Wherever our power and immensity were present, there would she erect her throne in order to love us and to love all. This was the greatest miracle that our powerful love performed, to bilocate her, to multiply her in all things and in all created beings, so that we might find her in all and everywhere. The celestial queen acts like the sun, even if someone did not want its light. This light imposes itself and says, "Whether you want me or not, I must do my course. I must give you light." But if someone could hide from the light of the sun, no one can hide from the sovereign lady. Otherwise, she could not be called, with facts, universal queen, and mother of everyone and of everything. And we do not know how to speak words without making facts. See then where our power and our love reached in the conception of this holy creature, to the extent of elevating her to such height and glory that she can say, "Wherever my Creator is, there I am, to love him. He has invested me with such power and glory that I am sovereign over all. Everything is dependent upon me. My dominion reaches everywhere, to the extent that, while I am conceived in all things, I hold the sun, the wind, the sea, and everything conceived within me. I possess everything in me, even my Creator, and I am the sovereign and owner of all. This is all my unreachable height, my glory, which nobody can equal, and my great honor, that with my love I embrace all, I love all, and I belong to all, and I am the mother of my Creator. Fiat. December 14th, 1937. Just as the human nature has its day, so does the divine will form its day in the depth of the soul of one who lives in it. I felt as though immersed in the divine volition. Even more, it seemed to me that, as I kept doing my acts in the Fiat within its waves of light, that light would expand and centralize itself more within me, and my need to love it and breathe it more than my own life kept growing. So without it, I felt out of breath, without warmth, and without heartbeat. But as I would go back to do my acts in the divine volition, I felt the breathing, the warmth, and the divine heartbeat coming back to cheer my poor existence. Therefore, the living in the divine will is a need for me, and need of life. Then my sweet Jesus, coming back to visit my little soul, all goodness told me, my blessed daughter, just as nature has its day for the human life, during which all the actions of life are carried out, in the same way my divine will forms its day in the depth of the creature who lives in it. As the creature begins to form her acts in it, calling it as her own life, so does my will begin its day, forming a most splendid daybreak in the depth of her soul. This daybreak reunites the powers of her soul, and renews in her the power of the Father, the wisdom of the Son, the virtue and love of the Holy Spirit. Hence my will begins its day together with the most holy sacrosanct Trinity, which descends into the littlest acts and hiding places of the creature, in order to carry out its life together with her, and to do whatever she does. This daybreak puts to flight all the darkness of the soul, in such a way that everything is light for her, standing at attention as a vigilant sentry, so that all her acts may receive the light of the divine will. This daybreak is the first rest of God within the room of the soul. It is the beginning of the eternal day, in which the life of the Supreme Being begins together with the creature. My will does not move, nor can it move or be without the adorable Trinity. At the most, it goes ahead of them. It plays the role of actor, but it draws them along with itself in an irresistible way, forming the divine chamber in which the divine persons can enjoy their creature, so loved by them. Wherever it reigns, my will has the power to centralize everything, even our divine life. How beautiful is the beginning of the day of one who lives in our Fiat! It is the enchantment of the whole of heaven. And if the whole celestial court were subject to envy, it would envy the one who is so fortunate as to possess inside her soul, while still living in time, the beginning of the eternal day, the precious day in which God begins to carry out his life together with the creature. Now, as she moves on to do the second acts in the divine volition, so does the sun of my eternal will rise. The fullness of its light is such as to invest all the earth, visiting all hearts, and bringing the good morning of light and new joys to the whole celestial court. This light is crammed with love, with adorations, with thanksgivings, with gratitude, glory, and benediction. But who do these belong to? To the creature who with her act in my will has made the sun rise, which shines over all, in such a way that all find the one who has loved God for them, the one who has adored him, thanked him, blessed him, and glorified him. Everyone finds what he was obliged to do for God. All are substituted for. One act in my will must enclose everything. It has the power and capacity to make up for all and to do good to all. Otherwise, it could not be called act done in my will. These acts are jam-packed with unheard of prodigies, worthy of our creative work. Now, as she comes back to her third act in our will, so is the full midday of our eternal sun formed within the creature. And do you know what she gives us in this full midday? She prepares a banquet for us. And do you know what she gives us for food? The love that we have given to her, as well as our divine qualities. Everything carries the imprint of our beauty and of our chaste and pure fragrances. We like it so much that we eat our fill. More so, since if anything should be lacking for our decorum, because the creature is in our will, she is the owner of all our goods. Therefore, she takes from our treasures whatever is needed, and she prepares for us the most beautiful banquet worthy of our supreme majesty. And we invite all the angels and the saints to sit at this celestial banquet, so that they may take and eat with us from that love which the creature who lives in our will gave us. Now, after we have banqueted together, the other acts that she does in our will serve, some to form for us celestial melodies, some loving chants, some the most beautiful scenes, some others to repeat our works that are always in act. In some, she keeps us always occupied, and when she has given course to all her actions in our will, we give her rest, and we rest together with her. And after the rest, we open the field to more work in order to let another day begin, and so forth. And many times this faithful daughter of ours, because true faithfulness is in the living in our divine will, sees that her brothers and children of ours are about to be struck by the deserved chastisements because of their sins, does not close her day, but prays and suffers to impetrate deeds of graces for their souls, as well as for the bodies. Therefore, the life of one who lives in my divine will is the new joy and glory of heaven, as well as help and graces for the earth. Fiat. December 18th, 1937. All that is done in the divine will acquires the divine life, and these lives swim and float within the seas of love of the divine volition. I am prey to the divine volition, which does nothing other than unleash seas of light and of love from itself. But it seems it is not content, if it does not see the life of the light of its will and the little love of the creature that pours out of her, meeting each other, kissing and loving each other with one single love. Oh, how it celebrates then! And in its emphasis of love, it says, "The life of my will is inside and outside the creature. Therefore I possess her. She is all mine." And then I was thinking, doesn't the little love of the creature disappear within the immense sea of divine love? And my always lovable Jesus, returning to visit my little soul, as though inundated within his flames of love, told me, "Daughter of my will, everything that the creature does, which has my will as origin and as life, be they even small things, each of them contains a divine life. So, in the endless sea of my will and of my love, one can see, swimming and floating, many little lives of love and of light that have taken their place inside our sea. Oh, how requited we feel, because it is life of love that she gave us in her little love, and it is life of light that she gave us in doing her acts. In fact, they have been formed in the center of the life of our Fiat, which possesses the true life, and therefore, whatever comes out of it are lives, which my Fiat creates first, forming them within itself, and issues outside, as though delivering them from within its divine womb. Therefore, each I love you possesses the life of love. Each adoration possesses the life of divine adoration. Each virtue that the creature exercises possesses, one, the life of divine goodness, one, the wisdom, one, the fortitude, one, the power, one, the sanctity. And since they are little lives which have received life from our life, they cannot stay still, but they run and come to continue their little life inside our interminable seas. Oh, how they love us! They may be small, but we know that the creature can only give us what is little, because the great things, the immensities, are ours. The creature does not even know where to put them, if we want to give them to her. Therefore, it is necessary for her to take refuge in us, and we, seeing her inside our seas, feel requited with that love which we want from the creature. I remained pensive about what Jesus was saying, and he added, "Do you want to see it, to convince yourself of what I'm telling you?" At that moment, Jesus made me see his endless seas, investing heaven and earth, and the little love of the creature, and all the rest done in his divine will, like many lives, but beautiful, swimming inside these seas. Some remained on the surface to fix their gazes on their Creator. Some would run into his arms, one hugging him, another kissing him. Another one would plunge itself deep inside the sea. In some, they were making 1,000 affections and stratagems for he from whom they had received life. The Supreme Being was looking at them, but with such love as to call the whole celestial court to celebrate together with him, saying to all, "Look at them! How beautiful they are! These lives, formed by the acts of the creature, and by my will, are my glory, my triumph, my smile, the echo of my love, of our harmony, of our happiness. Now I could see these lives in the sun, in the stars, in the air, in the wind, in the sea. Each "I love you" was a life of love that ran to take its place of honor inside the divine seas. What enchantment! What beauties! How many unspeakable surprises! I remained mute, and I did not know what to say. And Jesus, "My daughter, did you see how many rare beauties of life my will can do? Its love and its jealousy are such that it keeps them inside its own sea. But this is not all yet, my daughter. I want to tell you another surprise. For the creature who lives in my will, one "I love you" does not wait for another. With the little life of love contained in the prodigious "I love you," one runs ahead, another escapes behind, another flies to take its place inside our endless sea. They compete among themselves. One runs faster, another wants to place itself in the front, another wants to be the first one to throw itself into our arms, and yet another makes a jump up to enclosing itself inside our divine womb. Life cannot stay motionless. These little lives, however small, have a breath, a heartbeat, a step, and a voice. They are all eyes to look at us. Therefore, they breathe love and give us love. They palpitate with love and have our same step as we move and walk because we love. Their voices constantly speak to us of love, and they love so much that they want to hear constantly our story of eternal love. These little lives never die. They are eternal with us. The "I love you," the acts in my will, populate heaven. These little lives diffuse themselves everywhere. In the entire creation, in the saints, in the angels. And how many of them run around the Queen! Everywhere do they want their place, to the extent of descending into the hearts of the creatures on earth, saying among themselves, "How can our Creator remain inside the human hearts without our little life of love? Ah, no, no, we are little. We can enter into them and love our Creator for them." These little lives are the enchantment of all heaven. They are the greatest marvels of our Supreme Being. They are the true requiters of our eternal love. They have such unique follies of love that by merely looking at them, it is known that they are our daughters, lives formed and created by our divine volition. But who can tell my surprise? And Jesus, do not be surprised. My life down here also did nothing other than release life from me, so much so that my steps still walk after everyone. They never stop. Even more, all centuries will have the life of my steps. My mouth is still speaking. because each one of my words contained a life, and therefore it continues to speak. Only those who do not want to listen do not hear my voice. My tears are full of lives, and are always in acts of pouring themselves upon the sinner in order to touch him, to move him to repentance, and to convert him, as well as upon upright and good souls, to embellish them and captivate their hearts to love me. Each pain, each drop of my blood, are distinct lives of mine that they contain, and therefore they form the strength for the pains of creatures, and the bath for all their sins. These are the prodigies of my will. Wherever it reigns, with the creative virtue it possesses by nature, over each tiny little thing, even a small trifle, it does create life to make us loved. You must be convinced that in the face of such great love of ours, we just cannot be without anyone who loves us. Therefore, our will, which takes care of everything and knows how to do it all, creates many lives out of the acts of the creature who lives in it. It acts as substituter for our love, and renders less restless our yearning of love and our eternal delirium, for we want to be loved. Therefore, live always in our will. Love always, and you will be the new enchantment of the whole of heaven, and our perennial feast, and we will be your feast. We will celebrate each other. Fiat. You have reached the end of the Book of Heaven, Volume 35, Part 8. Fiat.